a lot of times these police precincts or these DA office, they actually get like a hard on for like an artist or someone who they feel has evaded them. They're used to working with the judge and working the criminal justice system and the courts, and they have favorable outcomes. So when somebody beats them, they usually try to get them.
For months, this story lived in whispers, side comments, and half-confirmed rumors. But now, NBA YoungBoy has finally broken his silence, and what he said has sent shockwaves through the hip-hop world. Fans have long speculated about the role Mellow Rackz allegedly played during one of the most critical moments of his legal troubles, with many believing she took the charge to protect him. Until now, YoungBoy stayed quiet, letting the internet run wild with its own narrative. But that silence just ended. According to those close to the situation, YoungBoy's words weren't loud or dramatic. They were controlled, deliberate, and heavy with meaning. He didn't just address rumors. He addressed loyalty, sacrifice, and the price people pay when fame and real life collide. And the way he framed it has fans split right down the middle. Some are calling it a moment of honesty and accountability. Others believe it raises even more questions than it answers. What makes this situation so intense is the timing. YoungBoy has been under intense scrutiny, legally and publicly, and every move he makes is analyzed like evidence in a courtroom. Mellow Rackz's name being connected to his case turned a private situation into a public firestorm. Supporters praised her loyalty, while critics questioned whether love, pressure, or fear played a role. And through all of that noise, YoungBoy said nothing until now. His response wasn't just about clearing his name. It was about how relationships change when the stakes are real, when consequences aren't theoretical, and when someone else's freedom is involved. He spoke on responsibility without spelling everything out, leaving listeners to read between the lines. That ambiguity has only fueled debate even further. Fans are now revisiting old interviews, lyrics, and social media posts, trying to connect dots that may or may not exist. Was this always the truth hiding in plain sight? Or is this just one side of a much more complicated story? One thing is certain, this isn't just hip-hop drama. It's a moment that exposes the uncomfortable overlap between love, loyalty, and the justice system. And now that YoungBoy has finally spoken, the conversation is no longer speculation. It's confrontation. Stay locked in, because what he revealed may change how this entire situation is viewed, and the fallout is only just beginning. For months, this story lived in whispers, side comments, and half-confirmed rumors. But now, NBA YoungBoy has finally broken his silence, and what he said has sent shockwaves through the hip-hop world. Fans have long speculated about the role Mellow Rackz allegedly played during one of the most critical moments of his legal troubles, with many believing she took the charge to protect him. Until now, YoungBoy stayed quiet, letting the internet run wild with its own narrative. But that silence just ended. According to those close to the situation, YoungBoy's words weren't loud or dramatic. They were controlled, deliberate, and heavy with meaning. He didn't just address rumors. He addressed loyalty, sacrifice, and the price people pay when fame and real life collide. And the way he framed it has fans split right down the middle. Some are calling it a moment of honesty and accountability. Others believe it raises even more questions than it answers. What makes this situation so intense is the timing. YoungBoy has been under intense scrutiny, legally and publicly, and every move he makes is analyzed like evidence in a courtroom. Mellow Rackz's name being connected to his case turned a private situation into a public firestorm. Supporters praised her loyalty, while critics questioned whether love, pressure, or fear played a role. And through all of that noise, YoungBoy said nothing until now. His response wasn't just about clearing his name. It was about how relationships change when the stakes are real, when consequences aren't theoretical, and when someone else's freedom is involved. He spoke on responsibility without spelling everything out, leaving listeners to read between the lines. That ambiguity has only fueled debate even further. Fans are now revisiting old interviews, lyrics, and social media posts, trying to connect dots that may or may not exist. Was this always the truth hiding in plain sight? Or is this just one side of a much more complicated story? One thing is certain, this isn't just hip-hop drama. It's a moment that exposes the uncomfortable overlap between love, loyalty, and the justice system. And now that YoungBoy has finally spoken, the conversation is no longer speculation, it's confrontation. Stay locked in, because what he revealed may change how this entire situation is viewed, and the fallout is only just beginning. As the public digested NBA YoungBoy's comments, the discussion quickly shifted from speculation to the deeper implications of the situation. What had initially seemed like a simple case of rumor and fan theory now revealed a much more complex web of relationships, decisions, and consequences. YoungBoy's acknowledgement of the circumstances surrounding Mellow Rackz highlighted just how intertwined personal loyalty and legal responsibility can be, especially in the high-pressure world of hip-hop, where private matters are rarely kept private for long. According to sources close to the rapper, this was not a decision taken lightly by either party. Every step carried consequences that extended far beyond the immediate moment. YoungBoy reportedly spent long hours reflecting on the situation, considering the potential impact not just on himself, but on everyone tied to his name. While fans often see him as larger than life, moments like these remind the world that behind the music and the fame is a person making choices under extraordinary stress. Mellow Rackz's role, whether fully understood by the public or not, became a focal point for discussions about loyalty, sacrifice, and the blurred lines between love and responsibility. Sources suggest that she had been deeply involved in navigating the legal challenges facing YoungBoy, providing support in ways that were both emotional and strategic. Her willingness to take risks for him, whether intentional or as a consequence of circumstances, revealed the complicated dynamics of relationships in high-stakes situations. It also sparked a wave of admiration and criticism online, with fans debating whether such actions were heroic, misguided, or both. YoungBoy himself addressed these discussions indirectly, focusing less on public perception and more on the lessons learned. He reportedly emphasized that no one should feel compelled to jeopardize their freedom or well-being for someone else, regardless of loyalty or love. This message struck a chord with many supporters who had grown concerned about the potential toll of his lifestyle on those around him. By acknowledging the human cost without assigning blame, YoungBoy reframed the narrative, turning what could have been a sensational story into a moment of reflection. Social media, of course, erupted almost immediately. Fans dissected every word, speculating on what was said and what wasn't. Some praised him for finally speaking out, interpreting his measured tone as a sign of maturity and growth. Others questioned why it took so long. Legal experts weighed in as well, noting that high-profile cases involving public figures often place enormous pressure on anyone associated with the individual. Decisions made out of loyalty can have real legal consequences, and the narrative shaped by media and fan commentary can influence public perception in ways that affect both trial strategy and personal reputations. YoungBoy's acknowledgement of the situation highlighted the delicate balance between public image and private responsibility, showing fans that fame doesn't exempt anyone from facing serious consequences. During this time, YoungBoy reportedly leaned heavily on his inner circle, seeking guidance from trusted advisors while navigating the intense scrutiny. Friends and family became anchors in a storm that had grown larger than any of them could have anticipated. The combination of media attention, legal complexity, and emotional stakes created a pressure cooker. But sources say his focus on maintaining composure and protecting those around him helped keep the situation from spiraling further. Another aspect that emerged during these discussions was the impact on Mellow Rackz herself. Public commentary often simplifies these situations into binaries: hero or villain, right or wrong. But insiders stressed that her experience was far more nuanced. She faced both scrutiny and support, navigating her own fears, pressures, and moral dilemmas. In choosing to be involved, she demonstrated courage, but she also faced the weight of consequence that accompanies such decisions. By the end of this period, one thing became clear. The story was no longer just about rumors or sensational headlines. It was about relationships tested under extreme conditions, about the real-life consequences of decisions made under duress, and about the humanity that exists behind the celebrity persona. YoungBoy's measured statement opened a window into this world, reminding fans and critics alike that even high-profile figures are vulnerable, and that loyalty can be as complicated as it is commendable. As the situation continues to unfold, the focus is shifting toward understanding the long-term implications, not just for YoungBoy and Mellow Rackz, but for the broader community watching closely. What started as a rumor has now become a case study in loyalty, accountability, and the cost of fame, with lessons that extend far beyond the headlines. And with YoungBoy finally breaking his silence, the next chapter promises even more insight into how these high-pressure dynamics play out in real life. By the time NBA YoungBoy spoke out, the ripple effects of the situation were already being felt across multiple layers of his world, from fans and peers to media outlets and legal advisors. While much of the public focused on the headline that Mellow Rackz allegedly took the charge for him, insiders emphasized that the reality was far more nuanced. It wasn't a story of simple heroism or blind loyalty. It was a complex intersection of relationships, legal pressures, and personal responsibility that highlighted just how high the stakes had become. Sources close to YoungBoy reveal that this period had been emotionally exhausting for everyone involved. Months of scrutiny, speculation, and indirect questioning had taken a toll on both his mental state and his personal relationships. Friends noticed a difference in his demeanor leading up to the statement. He was quieter, more introspective, and seemed to weigh every word carefully, aware that speaking recklessly could escalate an already delicate situation. In a world where every social media post is dissected, he knew the cost of missteps could be enormous. Mellow Rackz's involvement became a focal point not because of theatrics, but because of real-world consequences. The sources claim she had been intimately involved in navigating legal challenges, offering support that was both emotional and strategic. Her actions, whether fully understood or not by the public, underscored the intense loyalty that can exist between people who share deep personal bonds. However, such loyalty also carried risk, legal, social, and emotional. For someone so closely tied to YoungBoy, every decision she made had the potential to dramatically affect her life, a reality that both fascinated and unsettled fans. YoungBoy addressed the situation with an emphasis on accountability and perspective. He reportedly avoided sensationalizing Mellow Rackz's involvement or portraying himself as a victim. Instead, he framed the conversation around responsibility, recognizing that choices, even those made with the best intentions, have lasting consequences. By highlighting this, he not only defended his actions but also shifted the narrative toward a broader reflection on how relationships function under pressure, particularly when fame, law, and public perception collide. The public reaction was immediate and divided. Fans praised YoungBoy's honesty, seeing it as a sign of growth and emotional maturity. Many interpreted his statements as a rare glimpse into the man behind the music, someone capable of reflection even under extreme pressure. Others criticized the timing and phrasing, suggesting that he might be controlling the narrative or deflecting attention. Regardless of interpretation, the statement created a new dynamic in the ongoing conversation around his legal challenges and personal life. Social media amplified every nuance. Memes, analysis videos, and fan theories spread rapidly, often missing the subtlety YoungBoy had intentionally preserved. Experts warned that this level of public attention can complicate legal matters and personal dynamics, turning private decisions into public debate. The balance between transparency and discretion became central, and YoungBoy seemed acutely aware of that. He maintained his focus on the message's core: loyalty has limits, responsibility is unavoidable, and public perception should not dictate private ethics. Within his inner circle, the statement reportedly created a mixture of relief and renewed vigilance. Close associates understood that speaking out could stabilize the narrative while also opening new avenues of scrutiny. For YoungBoy, it was a calculated risk, necessary to clarify misunderstandings, yet carefully measured to avoid inflaming tensions further. Sources note that the choice to speak was deliberate, signaling an awareness that silence was no longer tenable given the intensity of speculation. At the same time, the situation highlighted the broader pressures young artists face when personal matters intersect with professional life. In the age of social media, where rumors can become viral within minutes, the stakes of public loyalty are magnified. YoungBoy's case illustrates the tension between private bonds and public scrutiny, showing how every decision, personal or professional, can have consequences that extend far beyond the immediate circle. Mellow Rackz' role also became a subject of reflection for fans and commentators. Rather than reducing her to a stereotype or a plot device, insiders emphasized that she navigated a highly stressful environment, balancing personal loyalty with her own safety and agency. That duality became central to understanding the dynamics at play. Loyalty is admirable, and the human cost of fame, while questions remain unanswered and challenges persist. His statement marked a turning point, a moment where he took control of his narrative, clarified his perspective, and acknowledged the sacrifices made by those around him without exploiting them for dramatic effect. As the situation continues to unfold, one thing is clear: this is not simply a story about rumor or loyalty. It is about real people navigating extraordinarily high stakes, with consequences that reach far beyond what fans see online. YoungBoy's words may have ended months of silence, but they also opened a conversation about the responsibilities and pressures that come with fame, love, and personal relationships under scrutiny. The next chapter promises further insights into how loyalty and accountability intersect in the life of one of hip-hop's most scrutinized artists. By the time the situation reached its fourth stage, the emotional and public stakes for NBA YoungBoy had intensified significantly. After his initial statement, the spotlight didn't dim. If anything, it became sharper, magnifying every subtle detail of his words, body language, and tone. While YoungBoy himself remained measured and controlled in private, the internet erupted with opinions, interpretations, and debates, forcing him and those close to him to navigate a complex web of scrutiny that extended far beyond the original legal situation. Sources close to YoungBoy revealed that he spent hours reflecting on the potential fallout of each word before speaking publicly. The stakes were higher than just reputation. The people around him, particularly Mellow Rackz, were affected as well. Her involvement in the scenario had placed her in a position of vulnerability, and YoungBoy reportedly expressed concern not just for his own standing, but for how the public would interpret her actions. It became clear to him that fame magnifies everything, and loyalty, no matter how genuine, can be misread or exploited. While fans dissected every nuance online, insiders say YoungBoy's focus remained entirely on personal responsibility. He reportedly emphasized that even with close relationships, no one should feel compelled to take risks that compromise their future or freedom. That perspective highlighted a deeper maturity, acknowledging the human cost of fame and legal entanglements, a cost often invisible to the casual observer. Mellow Rackz's involvement became a central talking point across social media platforms, but the reality was far more layered than the headlines suggested. Sources indicate that she had been actively supporting YoungBoy during a critical period, providing emotional strength, logistical support, and guidance through a tense legal environment. Her presence was not only a sign of loyalty but also an anchor in a world that often moves too fast for private relationships to remain stable. Yet, with loyalty came exposure. Every public reaction, every speculative post, made her vulnerability visible, intensifying the pressure on both of them. This period also revealed the challenges of navigating fame under legal scrutiny. In cases like this, private decisions quickly become public fodder. Legal experts note that high-profile individuals must constantly consider how public perception intersects with ongoing legal matters. YoungBoy's measured approach underscored his awareness of this dynamic. He knew that emotional or reactive statements could have unintended consequences, which made his decision to speak thoughtfully all the more important. Internally, YoungBoy reportedly spent long periods discussing the situation with close advisors and family members. They debated how to balance transparency with discretion, weighing the benefits of speaking out against the risks of creating additional scrutiny or misunderstanding. Every choice, from phrasing to timing, was calculated. This level of deliberation demonstrated a recognition of the wider implications, both for himself and for Mellow Rackz. Fans and commentators alike noted that YoungBoy's approach diverged from typical celebrity responses. Instead of sensationalism or self-justification, he emphasized perspective, responsibility, and accountability. This shift reframed public understanding, encouraging listeners to consider the personal and relational consequences behind the headlines, rather than just consuming the story as entertainment. Meanwhile, Mellow Rackz's role continued to invite discussion. While some admired her loyalty, others questioned the wisdom of her actions. Insiders emphasized that her decisions were not impulsive or naive, but calculated within the confines of an intensely stressful environment. Her agency, courage, and willingness to stand by someone she cared about were central to the story, even if public perception often reduced it to rumor or spectacle. This stage also highlighted a critical lesson about relationships under pressure. Loyalty is not just about sacrifice, it's about awareness and responsibility. YoungBoy's statements reflected this understanding, acknowledging the gravity of the situation while underscoring the importance of informed choices. In doing so, he framed a narrative that extended beyond mere speculation, offering a glimpse into the realities of navigating high-stakes relationships in the public eye. By the end of this phase, it became clear that YoungBoy had succeeded in shifting the conversation. What had started as rumors and fan conjecture was now a discussion grounded in human experience, loyalty, accountability, and the impact of fame on personal relationships. While questions remain and the situation continues to evolve, YoungBoy's statement marked a turning point, emphasizing thoughtfulness and responsibility over impulse and spectacle. As the story continues to unfold, one thing is evident. This is not just a tale of rumor or controversy. It's an ongoing examination of how trust, loyalty, and public perception collide under pressure, and how YoungBoy, Mellow Rackz, and their inner circle navigate the delicate balance between personal bonds and public scrutiny. The lessons from this stage will resonate long after the headlines fade, highlighting the human complexities behind the music, fame, and loyalty that define their lives. By the time the situation entered its fifth phase, it was clear that NBA YoungBoy's decision to speak publicly had fundamentally shifted the narrative. No longer was the story confined to whispers, speculation, or social media conjecture. His carefully measured words had redirected the conversation toward loyalty, accountability, and the real human consequences that come with fame and legal scrutiny. Sources close to the rapper describe a sense of cautious relief, not because the situation was fully resolved, but because there was now clarity about his perspective, and by extension, some protection for those closest to him. For YoungBoy, this period was less about controlling public perception and more about asserting personal responsibility. Insiders suggest he spent long stretches in reflection, weighing the repercussions of every choice and recognizing how past decisions had shaped the current reality. Mellow Rackz, too, remained a central figure in his thoughts. Her involvement, whether fully understood or publicly acknowledged, had exposed her to both praise and criticism. YoungBoy reportedly emphasized to those around him that her actions were voluntary and grounded in genuine loyalty, but he also acknowledged the need for boundaries and caution moving forward. The ripple effects of his statement were felt far beyond immediate circles. Fans dissected lyrics, analyzed old interviews, and revisited social media posts for clues. Each new post or comment became a lens through which to interpret his intentions. While this level of scrutiny can be overwhelming, sources indicate that YoungBoy remained remarkably focused, prioritizing the emotional and legal realities over the noise of public opinion. What stood out most during this phase was his acknowledgement of the human cost of these events. Fame and notoriety bring immense pressure, but YoungBoy's words highlighted that the stakes are always personal. He recognized that decisions made in moments of loyalty or crisis carry consequences that affect not just him, but the people who stand beside him. This perspective reframed the conversation, challenging fans and commentators to consider the deeper implications of the headlines they consume. Mellow Rackz's role, as insiders explain, was neither simplistic nor performative. She had provided emotional support, navigated complex logistical and legal challenges, and stood by him in ways that required courage and awareness. At the same time, she faced public scrutiny, judgment, and speculation, a combination that could have undermined even the strongest relationship. YoungBoy's statement served to validate her actions while also emphasizing the importance of consent, awareness, and responsibility in situations where loyalty intersects with high stakes. In addition to personal reflection, this stage brought practical considerations. Legal advisors reportedly guided him on how to communicate responsibly without jeopardizing ongoing matters. His measured approach demonstrated an understanding of the delicate balance between transparency and caution. Speaking out had been necessary to address rumors and clarify his position, but it required careful navigation to avoid escalating the situation further. The public's response was mixed, yet meaningful. Supporters praised his honesty and perceived growth, while critics continued to dissect timing, phrasing, and implications. Even amid divided opinions, the broader conversation had shifted. It was no longer just about sensational claims. It was about understanding loyalty, personal accountability, and the challenges of navigating fame under extreme pressure. Throughout this time, YoungBoy reportedly remained committed to protecting those around him. He emphasized communication, reflection, and boundaries, demonstrating that loyalty doesn't equate to blind risk-taking. By framing the discussion this way, he set a tone that contrasted sharply with the more sensationalized narratives that often dominate social media, showing that personal responsibility can coexist with care and support.